So welcome to today's video. We are taking a look at this little travel set from Sennelier L'Aquarelle. So that is their artist grade watercolor. I do know that Sennelier uses honey, so they are not vegan friendly. And they also have a different formulation for their tube and their pen set, so they are not the same. They can definitely vary in how they feel when you are working with them, and also yeah, how they look a little bit. So as this is meant to be a travel set, the first thing that really unnerves me a lot, because it happened to me a lot. I'm sometimes a bit clumsy, and I dropped this set so many times I can't count. And every time the pans fell out completely. Mine is now a few years old, so finally my colors stick to the pan, because prior to that, not only the pans did fall out, but the colors did fall out of the pans as well. And then you are having all the colors and pans on the floor, and you have to find out which color is which and which belongs in which pan, because that is definitely a plus, labeled at the side with the color name. It is printed on. Yeah, so that is definitely a big minus point for a travel set, in my opinion. Then it is also very thick, not very small for a set with only 14. Yeah, I know there it says 12 because I didn't count correctly. It is a 14 color set. So yeah, it is much bigger than it has to be. So yeah, that was also a big minus point in my personal opinion, because I personally prefer travel sets which are more on the thin and small side, so I don't have a lot of weight or space. And yeah, which the stuff needs in my travel stuff. So yeah, that is also something I didn't like. You have this little mixing area which you can pull out, but it doesn't has I think a good end. So the problem is, if you're using it, you have a lot of water in it, and then you close it and then put the stuff back in your bag, then all the rest water or color will drop out and go all over the place in your bag. So that is definitely not very travel friendly again. Okay, so now to the colors. The first color is lemon yellow, and it is a PY3. And I've mentioned it multiple times. PY3 is a pigment which is not very good in light fastness. Some brands are better, some brands are worse, but it will definitely fade from a little bit to strongly over time. You never know how bad the version from the brand will be or how good it will be. So I personally always handle PY3 as a non-light fast pigment. This is our only yellow in the set. And here's my first big minus point. From the color side, we have only one yellow. That is not very good. We have four reds. So the balance between the colors is not good. And the only yellow we have is a non-light fast pigment. So that is also not very good. The second color here is Sennelier Orange. It's PO73, which is basically a pyrrole orange. And this pigment has the same problem as the PY3, so it ranges from medium to bad in light fastness. Sometimes it is better, sometimes it is more like a good, but it does definitely fade over time. In most cases, it does fade more strongly, especially when it is watered down. So our only orange is also not light fast. I mean, okay, with the orange I could say with a yellow and a red we easily can mix some oranges. So in that case it is not as bad as it is with the yellow, because it is our only yellow. Yeah, so in my opinion it would be better just if we have not if we wouldn't have the orange but therefore a light fast yellow, for example, which in my opinion that would have be a better choice. So the next is here the French Vermilion. It is a nice lighter warm red. It has a very good in light fastness in their rating, and it's a PR 242. So as I am using light warm yellows, reds, sorry, like light cadmium red or pyrrole red for my shadows on my skin colorations, I'm always happy to have a shade like that in a set, because it is something I use a lot. Then the next color is called Alizarin Crimson. And the first thing here, what did confuse me a lot when I swatched it for the very first time, was the color, because it has this dark reddish brown kind of color. And I have so many Alizarin Crimson genuine versions. I have hues, and not one of them looks closely to that kind of color shade. So that was definitely something that confused me a lot, because it just wasn't anything I did expect with the color name. It is a mixed color. We have here in it PR 209, which is a quinacridone red, and it is a very light fast pigment. Then we have the PR 179, which is perylene maroon, and that is also a very light fast pigment. This pigment has a red and a brown version, but because of the very brownish tint we have in the color, I think it is the brownish version. And then we have the PR 83, and PR 83 is the synthetic version of the genuine Alizarin Crimson made of the plant, so which is also known as rose madder, for example, because the plant can make this lighter rose colors, but also this darker reddish colors. And sadly, the synthetic version is as non-light fast as the genuine version is, so it is an absolute non-light fast pigment, which makes the mixture, because we of course don't know how high the amount of PR 83 is, not light fast. So this pigment will definitely fade completely over time, and it will change the color completely. We don't know how it looks afterwards, so it makes the only dark red in the set also non-light fast. So we have now 4 colors and have 3 colors out of 4 which are not light fast. That is a lot. So the next color is Carmine, and this is PV19, so your basic primary magenta color made out of quinacridone rose. It has a light fastness rating from 1, which is excellent, which is definitely correct for the pigment. But what I did feel when I swatched the color is that it has some, not a very strongly, but a light kind of milky filler feeling. It is not completely transparent, which normally the pigment is. And yeah, it just feels like someone would have mixed in some white or some fillers. And that is definitely a very big minus point in my opinion, because we are here with artist grade paints. There shouldn't be any filler in it. That is something I would expect from student grade paint, but not from artist grade paint. And it was even worse in the next color, which is quinacridone red, PR209. They rated it with an good in light fastness. And this color was so bad and full of fillers that it appeared even milky on my brush, and it does look completely different in any other brand. It just looks and feels like there is like 50 to 60% of white or filler in the color. As there is not listed any white, neither in the Carmine nor in the quinacridone red, there still can be white in it. A PW5, for example, can be mixed with your pigments if it used as a filler and not as a pigment in the recipe. You don't have to list it. Fillers don't have to be listed. But there is definitely something inside, because quinacridone red is one of the very, very few 100% transparent red pigments we have. And it just is not transparent at all. We would be able to see it that good on the brush, normally on a black brush, because like I said, it is a complete transparent pigment. So yeah, that is definitely absolutely horrible and bad in quality for artist grade, in my personal opinion. So the next color is dioxin purple, your standard PV23. This pigment is also rated or listed in nearly all brands as good to very good, like it is here, but sadly the pigment is not very light fast. It is basically similar to the PY3 and the PO73 here with all the brands. It fades from a little bit to massively. It does vary on the brand and vary which quality or from what source the companies get their pigment from. So definitely a pigment which is not very light fast. So that makes a fourth color which is not very light fast. We have 4 not light fast pigments in a set of 14, which I think is a rather high amount, especially with the problem that we don't have a light fast yellow in the set. So then we have French ultramarine, rated as excellent in light fastness. That is definitely correct, but sadly we don't have a single pigment color here. We have a mixture of PB29 and PB15. I know Sennelier is not the only brand offering one version of their ultramarine blues as a mixture between ultramarine blue and ultramarine violet. I know for sure that Magello Mission Gold has that kind of mixture as well, but as the only ultramarine in the set, I would have preferred a single pigment PB29, because with a set that small, we are in need to mix colors. And it is of course always best to have a single pigment color for mixing, because the more pigments you have in your mixture, the higher the risk is of getting muddy results. So in a set small like that, I would have preferred a single pigment PB29 ultramarine blue. The next color is called Phthalo Cyanine Blue, and it is a PB15 listed as a light fastness rating excellent, which is correct. The thing what definitely I did realize when swatching the color is that it doesn't get as dark as I am used from other artist grade paints with phthalo blue. Normally phthalo blue is a color that can get really, really dark, nearly blackish dark, because it is a very, very strong tinting color. And that is definitely not the case here. I do know from other brands, for example, Schminke, Horadam, Daniel Smith, Winsor Newton Professional, the colors get a lot darker than the version I have here from Sennelier. So that is also something which, yeah, went on my minus point list. So then to the greens. The next color is called forest green. It is our dark green in the set and is a 3 pigment mix. It is listed as light fastness excellent, so 1, which is correct because all the pigments used in the mixture are very light fast. It is a mixture between PBK 7, Carbon Black, PG 7, phthalo green blue shade, and PY 42, which is your synthetic yellow iron oxide. It is a very nice, very dark, cool green, which probably is nice to use for yeah, needle trees, stuff like that. My personal opinion to the 2 greens they have chosen is that I would rather have a single pigment PG7 as 2 greens which are mixed greens, because I know that a lot of people don't like the PG7, but it is a super starter for mixing very easily nice natural looking greens. So that is definitely something which is a lot more versatile than all the green mixes they have in here, and especially this light green here, which is called phthalo green light, which is rated a good in light fastness. It is a mixture of PG7 phthalo green blue shade in PY 153. This is a green. I do have greens like that because in my beginning I thought I must have colors like that, and to be honest, I never use them. So I do know from people who are working in landscape and botanicals that they always tend towards natural looking greens, and I basically don't know anyone in that area which uses greens like that a lot or even at all. So I think that is probably a green that not many people really have a usage for, and that would definitely be the one I would swap for a single pigment PG7, which I think would be a much better choice here. Then the next color is burnt sienna, rated as light fastness 1, which is correct, and we have our PBR7 single pigment burnt sienna. PBR7 is the natural brown iron oxide, but this is the 3rd color that did feel like there is some filler mixed inside, at least a very strong feeling. So if I would have to rate it, which is the worst, that is definitely quinacridone red. Second would be the burnt sienna, and third the carmine. The burnt sienna doesn't get darker as this, and that is probably around 50 to 60% lighter than any other brands which are using single pigment PBR7 burnt siennas. I do have next to me the swatch sheet from White Nights, and it definitely is around 50 to 60% darker. So it is very, very light in color, doesn't feel very pigmented, or at least mixed a lot with some kind of fillers. The pan itself looks also very, very light brown. You can easily spot it. And when I look at other brands' pans, burnt sienna, which are PBR7 made, they definitely look darker. So that is also something which, yeah, went to my negative point list. Then the color here I'm swatching now is Payne's Gray. It is rated with light fastness excellent, which is correct. All the pigments used are very light fast. We have PB19 quinacridone rose, PB15 column 1, which is a phthalo blue version, and PBK7 again, which is our carbon black. It also gets very dark, so here we have much better pigmentation in the color. And the other color is warm sepia. It is also listed as light fastness excellent, which is correct. All the pigments used are also very light fast. Again, here we have PBR7, so our natural brown iron oxide, and we also do have PBK7 again, the carbon black. So also this color is a lot more pigmented. It gets very dark. The amount of PBR7 must be a lot higher in this color than it is in the burnt sienna, for example. So now we will, of course, take a look at the dried swatches, or also as a close-up. And I will give my final review of the set. So the first thing is, it is a travel set, and in that department it is not very handy, just because the pans fall out, the color blocks do fall out. It is much thicker and bigger than it has to be for a travel set. So in my opinion, it doesn't really fit my expectations for a travel set. The second thing, the big thing, is the color selection, which is not very good for a set, a travel set or a small set, or as a starter set, for example, because we only have one yellow, which is not light fast. We have 4 reds, only 2 blues. We have 2 greens, 2 browns, 1 neutral, 1 orange. And in my personal opinion, you could have found a little bit of a better balance. I, for example, would prefer a burnt umber instead of the sepia, just because you could mix your burnt umber with your Payne's Gray and get a sepia, and have therefore had the opportunity to have a lighter darker brown as well, the burnt umber. Then, like I said, the green situation, a single pigment PG7 would be better, in my opinion. I rather would have an ochre in the whole set instead of 2 greens, because greens are very easily mixed yourself. I would prefer, instead of the orange, second yellow. For example, yeah, or at least a second yellow, which is light fast. Yeah. The dioxin violet is also, in my opinion, a little bit more redundant. We have the opportunity to mix, for example, a carmine and a phthalo blue, and would get a similar looking purple, but in a light fast version. And yeah, a third blue would be better, as it would give us a better range. For example, a lighter blue, like a cerulean blue, would be nice in the overall color selection. That's only my personal opinion. Of course, I know Sennelier is basically a special brand which is used a lot by botanicals. So, of course, if a botanical artist would review the set, he or she would probably have a very different opinion about the color selection as me. But I'm not a botanical artist, so I can only review from my point of view. So, like I said, not very fit as a travel set. The color selection is not optimal. The light fastness is also a very big issue. We have 4 from 14 colors which aren't light fast. Our only yellow is not light fast. That is probably the biggest bummer in the whole set. And then we have the quality, which is very, very different from each color. We have colors which definitely fit in the artist grade department. And then we have colors which are so low in quality because it is so full of fillers that I can't rate them as artist grade. I would rather, I personally would rate them as student grade. And that is definitely an absolute no-go if you are selling a set as artist grade, in my personal opinion. So the whole quality is very, varies a lot, and also there are just some colors which are so low in quality that, yeah, that's a very, very big negative point, and that is the all together is the reason why I personally can say I would recommend the set. I definitely would recommend to not buy the set at all. And yeah, probably this and the student grade set, which I have from the brand, which I want to upload the review in 1 week. I have made with both sets so many negative experiences that that is the reason why until this day I don't have a lot of colors from Sennelier. I only have these 2 pan sets, and I have around, I don't know, 2 or 3 tubes from the brand. So yeah, that definitely did ruin my personal opinion about the brand. I do know, like I said, that the recipe from the tubes are completely different to the pans, but I don't have enough tubes to really have a good experience with them. So that is why there are probably a lot of people watching which have a lot more experience with the brand. I would absolutely love to hear your personal experience. How are your experiences with the tubes and with the pans? Do you have maybe both, and can say how they are? It's really late and my brain isn't working properly anymore, it seems. How they are in comparison to each other. So yeah, that I would really, really love to know. And yeah, as always, I really hope that the video was helpful and informative, and that it really helped you in maybe your decision if the brand or the set is something for you. And yeah, like always, a thumbs up or a follow is very, very much appreciated, because it really helps me and the channel a lot. So thank you so much for that. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and to see you soon in one of my other videos. Bye bye.